Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for listening. Welcome to today's episode of 15 with the Team, a live series where the Office of the Student Advocate discusses common topics within the DC education system to help you become better informed and empowered in less than 15 minutes. My name is Philip Copeland, and I am an advocate with the Office of the Student Advocate. Today we will be joined by Cameron Schuster to discuss student safety and safe passage. How can students be expected to excel academically when instances threatening their safety persist? To better address these growing concerns related to safety of students traveling to or from school, a citywide effort went into place to learn what solutions helped address similar issues in other states, cities, and school districts across the country. Current and future programs related to student safety while traveling to and from school are referred to as Safe Passage. Safe Passage is a citywide, multi-tiered approach to ensure the safety of students and their families while in transit. More specifically, the Deputy Mayor for Education's office awarded grants to 5 nonprofit organizations to hire more than 200 trusted community members to walk with students as they travel to or from school safely. This program is referred to as Safe Blocks and is a part of DC's overall Safe Passage program. To learn more about the Safe Blocks initiative, we are joined today by Brother Cameron Schuster, who is a Safe Passage Program Manager for the National Association for the Advancement of Returning Citizens. The National Association of the Advancement of Returning Citizens is one of the Safe Block providers that currently works with 11 schools in wards 7 and 8 in DC. But I guess before we, dive deeper into what Safe Passage is and what Safe Blocks is, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your organization's mission?
Thank you a lot, Brother Philip. So my name is Cameron Schuster. I'm the program manager with the National Association Advancement for Returning Citizens on the Safe Passage, Safe Blocks program. The mission of the National Association for Advancement for Returning Citizens within the Safe Passage, Safe Blocks program is to ensure safety for our youth, to provide wraparound services to support in-school security, school leadership, so that we can make sure that students are able to travel to and from school safely, that they can feel safe in their commute, and that they have competent, caring adults in and around the school zone who can provide assistance when needed during situations that they are not comfortable with.
It's absolutely important, the work you all are doing. And I guess I spoke previously with the audience about Safe Passage and Safe Blocks and what that is. But could you describe how NAARC serves students, families, and community members as they travel to and from school?
Absolutely. So with this great program, Safe Passage and Safe Blocks, we actually operate and we oversee 11 sites in Northeast and Southeast DC, public schools as well as charter schools. And what we do is we train and staff folks to work in and around community-based schools in the school zone to ensure that during the 2-hour intake period and the 2-hour dismissal period, so that's AM and PM, we have folks in the community stationed around the school in hotspots that have been identified by school administration, by leadership, by school security. And we place people there to be eyes and ears and move information around so that we can keep children safe. One of the mandates of the program is that our staff get to know the student body, that they make themselves available for conversation. If young children, older children, anywhere from elementary, middle to high school, are feeling unsafe in their commute from the school doors to the bus stop to the Metro Transit train stations, our staff can walk with them, talk with them. Oftentimes our staff provide encouragement in the morning times, a big smile, a big good morning, a big hello, a big how are you? I've had staff and staff supervisors who even identify deficits within the student body. So it's wintertime and they may see a child coming in who doesn't have a jacket. I've had supervisors who figure out a way to find that child a jacket.
The relationship with the community and the students is so important. Like, we talk with so many students who are skeptical, reaching out for support because they don't have that connection with anybody they trust outside of the school building. So it's, once again, definitely appreciate hearing that. What specific schools do you all collaborate with?
Sure. So we work in Northeast. We work with HD Woodson. We work with IDEA PCS, Ron Brown Academy. We work with Maya Angelou, PCS. We work then as we move down towards Good Hope Road. We work with Ketchum. We work with Kramer. And in Southeast, we work with Thurgood Marshall Academy, Excel Academy, Savoy. And then I'd be remiss to forget the wonderful Kelly Miller Middle School back up in Northeast, and Anacostia High School. And I hope I didn't miss any, but yeah, we have the whole range of schools from elementary, middle to high school that we work with, as well as charter schools.
How can the public identify a safe passage worker, and what times of day do they usually operate?
So it's pretty easy for the public to identify safe passage workers. They wear this green and yellow vest. It says safe passage on the back. It also has a safe passage insignia down there, and they should all have an ID. Looks just like this, a safe passage ID. Safe passage workers are required to wear the vest and their ID visible at all times. Now, the vest may be over a bubble jacket, over another vest, over a sweater, over a hoodie. Obviously, we have 4 seasons here in DC, so you will see the vest, but it will be over top of whatever they need to keep warm. They won't always just be stationed in a single spot. They could be walking a route. They could be helping children move to and from school, walking a group to a bus stop, to the metro station. So you will see them sometimes standing in a single spot, or they could be moving as well.
Y'all are busy. Y'all are definitely working. Once again, it's really good to hear that this is happening right now. I guess being a little bit more specific about the program, our office spoke with nearly 300 students, about 50 family members about safe passage to close last school year. About 2/3 of the students and 3/4 of the family members who have seen safe passage workers said that they actually feel safer when they're traveling to or from school, which is, really encouraging to hear. Nearly 2/3 of the students and families who have not seen a safe passage worker said they would feel safer if one was present. In addition to that, various people from different schools during citywide safe passage meetings have mentioned less instances, where incidents were occurring in locations a safe passage worker was working at. Have you all noticed a similar trend that less incidents were occurring where they were stationed at?
Absolutely. I received the incident reports from all of my teams, from the supervisors in the field stationed at the schools, and I can personally attest to a reduction in incident reports that I have received over the course of the program. One circumstance, I won't speak to a specific location, but there's corner stores. We know all types of activity can take place in corner stores in our community. So having safe passage workers present in those locations, at those locations, to dissuade students from getting into certain nefarious activity has been a big help. Dissuading them from lingering in places prior to and after school has created a reduction in fights, in jumpings, in assaults, in robberies, simply by the presence and ushering folks on their way, rather than creating that lingering activity where they might be able to be identified as a possible victim to a crime. The presence of safe passage as a component to the work that MPD is doing, that the school security, that DCPS, DCHR all do, has, in my opinion, and shown a reduction in some of those incidents.
I know you mentioned before, so you all aren't just static in one location. You all move accordingly based off, you're talking to school staff. Is that how it's working?
Absolutely. At the beginning of the school year, we meet with principals, with the key staff inside the building, with the deans, disciplinary staff, the staff who know the movements during arrival time and during dismissal time. So we can identify, we're not just putting folks out there, and we also, we try to hire folks who have ties to the community, whether they grew up there, they live there currently, their families from there, they went to school there. Some of our workers have gone to some of these schools. Even better, some of our safe passage staff have children enrolled at that school. So they have an in-depth information to the community and to the routes that children are taking, and to the spots that may pose a problem, to the certain vacant houses on blocks that are a problem, certain corner stores to stay away from, certain bus stops where there have been robberies or things like that. So we certainly try to empower each other, and that's what it's all about, sharing information.
But I guess, for the students that we constantly talk with, we recently had a report, and about 20% of those students and family members were hesitant about the program. They weren't sure if it would make them feel safer or not. Many of the students express uncertainty, who may be hired as a safe passage worker. I know many students who identify as being female express feeling more comfortable when women are present along their routes. Students who may not speak English fluently express more comfort when there are multilingual staff available. I guess, what steps do you all take to ensure that safe passage workers are hired are representative of the communities that they serve?
Yeah, great question. So, we go through an evaluation process during hiring, and we try to source as many folk as possible who are from the community, who have ties, who live there, who are familiar. We make an effort to have both genders represented equally. Absolutely. Our brothers and our sisters both do a fantastic job. I see when I go and I check on my sites, I see all the time an equal representation of Black men and Black women dropping their children off to school, and it completely negates the narrative of education in our community and a lack of importance. You see parents dropping their children off with a zeal that their children get into the school building safely, and that they go there to learn and educate themselves and better themselves for their future. With you, we need equal representation for our Latinx brothers and sisters in their communities, so that those youth are able to feel welcomed, understood, loved, and cared for just as equally as our children in the African American community. Hear those families and what they're saying, and we certainly always want to be reflective of the community and responsive to the needs, because that is a key component of safe passage, that folks feel safe. Here, a safe passage worker all throughout the city of DC must be identified doing the same job and holding the same standard. And we work very hard to ensure that standard is held across the board. And we invite the public and families and schools to give feedback so that we can uphold that standard.
Once again, thank you for the work you all are doing. I know we hear conversations often that kind of blur the lines between safe passage workers, police officers, whatnot. It's important to understand safe passage workers are not meant to replace police officers or even existing violence interruption programs. Instead, safe passage workers are in place to accompany groups of students who may feel vulnerable in isolated locations. So who do you all collaborate with when more instances jeopardizing the safety of students happens?
Great question, Brother Philip. I really appreciate that one. The safe passage workers role, we've stated already in this interview. I'll reiterate it again. Is to be a community liaison, eyes and ears, to assist youth, elementary, middle, and high school in feeling safe, in having adults, competent, caring adults in the safe passage vest to speak to report to go to if they are feeling threatened or anything like that is taking place within their commute to and from school. Safe passage workers, as you stated, are not violence interrupters. They are civilians. They are not MPD. They do not carry weapons. They are not expected to intervene in physical altercations, in any violent activity that involves weapons, moving vehicles, to where their life could be threatened as well. Again, we collaborate heavily with the internal school security, school leadership, principals, deans, lead teachers, after school coordinators, before school coordinators. But our final point of connection, and the one we immediately go to if there are violent situations, if there are emergency situations or dangerous situations, is Metropolitan Police Department, MPD. So a 911 call is immediately generated once a situation has gone outside of the mandates of the safe passage workers role.
Definitely appreciate that clarity, and it's definitely good to know. And it's nice to know, like, there's multiple tiers in place to make sure students are safe across the board, from a community level to like a police response, and it's not just jumping straight to this police response in all situations. Before we wrap this up, is there anything else you would like to share with those who are watching right now?
Sure. Thank you, Brother Philip. First of all, thank you to you for this interview opportunity, so we can shed more light and give more information to what the Safe Passage, Safe Blocks program is. We want to thank the community for their buy-in, for their partnership in working with us, for getting to know us, our staff, our supervisors. We want to thank the school leadership, the principals, who we know have an immense level of responsibilities, the deans, the teachers, MPD, school security, all those folks who are part of the fabric that can make a program like this really work. And I want to thank my staff, my upper management, and all the partners from the mayor's office to the other subcontractors, the coalitions that we sit in, and obviously your office as well, who's putting together a lot of data and useful information to support the efficacy of this program. But first and foremost, and most importantly, we want to thank the students for doing what they're supposed to do, for going to school with the desire to learn in a safe environment so that they can make sure our community has a bright future ahead of it.
I hear that, because it is hard to expect our children to excel academically when, they're worried about just getting to school safely. So once again, thank you for the work y'all are doing. Thank you here for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks a lot. Everybody have a blessed, safe day. And we look forward to our next conversation.
Absolutely.